Next, we will talk about something that most probably you have heard many of times, but do you really know what is it? Design thinking. Really, there are seminars, stuff like that. We hear people say, "Yeah, do you practice design thinking?" But we really don't know maybe what is it to the core. So that's why I welcome on the stage the program director at BA School of Business and Finance, Lilita Sparane. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Agia. Hey, hello to everyone. This is kind of challenging. Now you can see me. I just can pretend. Where are you and how do you look? But this is nowadays challenge, and I hope we are going to solve it in a very productive way. So who am I? I will tell you briefly during my presentation. But you can see the two magic words, as Agia has explained, in my title of my presentation, design thinking. And thank you for organizers inviting me to speak at this conference, festival. And then when I was invited, I was thinking, well, there are many things what I could tell you and talk about. But then I decided, let's look at some of those which are very popular. And also we can say might be a buzzword. And what can we do with that? And that is the point. During these months, while I was preparing for this presentation, some discussions in social media took part. And those discussions finally reached Latvia after 3 years, starting in a big world. But it's okay, we used it. Well, and the discussions were about design thinking, what does it mean, how are we using it, and what are we using for, and who should use, or must use, or not to use at all. All these words, which you can see, describe design thinking in a more or less. Probably there are some more which are not written here, and you know them better, maybe than I do. But today, I will look at this issue or challenge or subject or theme from a non-designer point of view. Yes, I am not a designer. So nevertheless, I'm waiting impatiently. A new study program on service design, master studies, should be open quite soon by Academy of Art. Well, that is my next challenge, but now I am just kind of like person, open-minded person, innovator, trying to do a lot of new things, invent things, and move those ahead. But let's get back to design thinking. This is one of the definitions. There are many of them. And this is by Tim Brown, CEO of design consultancy IDEO. To me, there are two basic points or words which I do consider is the main one within this definition, and that is human-centered approach. So design thinking is for human-centered. People, technologies, processes, and so on. But let's get back a little bit in a history, just a few steps what I researched. As I mentioned, during my presentation, you won't see any statistical data, you won't see any scientific conclusions, but you will see my research and the point of view from the world and what I agree or don't agree. So make your own decision afterwards. Already in 1969, Herbert Simon and Robert McKim describe a type of rudimentary design process and explain how it should be applied or could be applied to science and engineering. 1980, Brian Lawson addressed that already for a more democratic environment touching architecture field. 1982, Nigel Cross should be blamed for taking this design thinking to the education sector. And then 1991. Design thinking is applied to all business problems by David McKelly, founder of the design consultancy IDEO. And then it started to roll. And then this 5 steps graph was designed, and Stanford also opened the D School, and a lot of universities included design thinking in their program. And of course, those who have already some experience with design thinking, they know the double diamond. Double diamond is a process with 4D: discover, define, develop, deliver. From my perspective, it's not only once you can do it. You have to do it, and then you have to come back, and come back. But as I said, I'm not going to go deeply through the design thinking as a method. But this is revolutionary speech of Natasha Jen, a designer, internationally awarded and recognized designer in 2017, when she came out with a title, Design Thinking is a Bull P. So during this presentation, she has pointed out that nowadays design thinking has become a problem for designers because it's used by anyone to any problems. It is using just one of the tools and its main post-its. It's not critical, and there is no evidence. There are some strong points where I can fully agree with that. But she really divided society like in two parts. One was who said, yes, she is correct, she is all right. And one another, of course, said, no, wait a minute, we have to look at it deeper. But just a few to mention. For example, UX designer Noah Ullman, at his TED Register speech, he even titled his speech, Design Thinking is not just for the designers, confirming that if you use it wisely and correctly, it should be used. And FOSA consultant agency, design agency, went even further. They put these two, they took Natasha's sentence and added, and we should promote it anyway. And they actually evaluated and analyzed design thinking and the definition at that time Natasha has posted as design thinking sounded like, as I'm mentioning, to anyone for any problem. She didn't agree with that. And FOSA agency said, but okay, let's look at it from another perspective. If it's a method, and we might say it's more a mindset, and that is what I want to turn your attention, and I'm sticking with that one. And they went even in a deeper analysis, and they compared, like, let's say, if we take designers compare with a cook chef at the kitchen or restaurant. So design thinking is just one of the recipes used by designers. One of the methods or tools, call whatever you want. And any of us, when we start to use it, when we are learning how to use it, when we are starting to use it, we have to remember that you have to learn a lot to become a good chef, that you have to cook that meal quite well. And you also have to remember, if you are a team cooking that meal, you have to have one leader. Otherwise, it will be destroyed and no one wants to eat it. So you always have to have a one lead person who can add final ingredient or a correct doses of the ingredients. And I might say it's a perfectly, if that is a professional designer. It's a perfect world. Unfortunately, we don't have that many designers yet who are working with any of kind of institution, any kind of companies, any kind of team and group. So that's why I agree that we have to learn design thinking as a method, as a tool. And then I want to share with you a Shane Ketterman, design block editor point of view. And Mr. Ketterman also tried to kind of protect a little bit post-its. Because Natasha is correct. If you Google, in a Mother Google, ask for a design thinking images, the many pictures will come out with the post-its and with the 5 steps. But then he said, but let's look at those 5 steps. And here I, again, 200% I fully agree. Post-its are just for ideation, for brainstorming point, for a session. And it is very important to us, to, let's say, post-Soviet countries. You are most of probably audience very young, but I'm coming from the past century, so I have faced a situation when we were not asked to speak up. We were asked to sit quiet and just to listen to one of the leaders. So, and nowadays, still, we are alive, we are working, and we are within the teams, and a lot of people, which are not that crazy as I am might be, they are sitting and listening. But if you give them opportunity to write their ideas and post it, then they do. Then they open themselves. That's why I want to say there are not good or bad things. You can use it, just you have to use it in the right way. And even more, he has developed design thinking SWOT. I'm not going to go through the all strengths and weaknesses, but here where I listed, you can see few of them which are already described and few of them which you can think on yourself. And of course, there are a lot of opportunities. Opportunities, we might say, are quite more than listed here. Of course, there are some threats. And again, threat to become a buzzword and just to leave it as a buzzword, not to use it. But as I'm coming for the moment from the education sector and representing, and I'm a program director at BI School of Finance, Business and Finance, and I would like to say that yes, design thinking is also in the education sector, and it is also like a transversal learning tool considered, and even more, it is like a catalyst, an integrator who brings together creative thinking, business thinking, technological thinking, and just turn to the human-centered approach. But let's get back to Latvia, and just would like to share some steps where I was involved, which some of them are initiated. And we started to think about it already in 2014 during Creativity Week Ready. And then we invited Anna Wischer as a lead researcher and policies for a design developer from the Cardiff Metropolitan University PDR Research and Design Institute. We invited her to the State Chancellery. It's a main office of public administration. And we tried to show a high-level managers what can you do with the creative methods? How you can use that in processing policy development document, in processing or inventing new regulation, just trying to look at it that, guys, there is a person behind it who is going to use it, who is going to be connected with that, or who is going to be influenced by that. So you always have to ask, what do they need? And then just start with that. And of course, I'm not going to talk a lot, but European Commission is supporting also this. And there are many projects. Design for Europe was one of the first one. And in 2014, I took a lead and I established in Latvia multidisciplinary innovative platform for students, Demola. And still, I'm proud that it's functioning and it is solving business problems. And also, during this process, they are using design thinking a lot. But it's not just to post it. This is more about the prototyping and testing. And again, prototyping and testing, that also should be done not just for like students and the businesses, but also, again, coming back a little bit to public administration, also to the management of all these institutions, either to the management of our universities and so on and so on. And I'm glad that our public school of administration already training a lot of civil servants and giving them opportunity to train others. And there is nothing wrong with it, because that is what I want to say. This is a mindset. And I would like to mention, of course, I should be blamed for using this method, but at the end, we came out with a great solution at our school, a new bachelor program, business process management. And there were students as end users, employers as beneficiaries, professors, lecturers, experts, and all of us were posting notes on the wall, we were crawling on the floor, we were discussing, and finally, we just want to develop the best program for the moment for this unstable world and the market. And then let me stop and describe a little bit some other similarities what just jumped in my mind about the buzzwords. If we say that design thinking just a buzzword, probably you have heard already such a term as clusters. Well, I was connected with this term since 2007 for 9 years, being CEO of ID Cluster. And at that time, it was like, what you are talking about? This is an IT term. What you are using it for? And at the end, world is using now very widely. It's a group of similar things, group of similar companies, group of similar people or events which are going to reach the same target as they want. And some more. Agile. Waterfall versus Agile. Those who know the project management, they know what does it mean. Agile also, it is coming from IT sector as a software development methodologies. And then project management absorbed it. Why not? If that is done in the right way. And according to their data, there are 28% more successful than traditional projects. And then if we are putting together this new method called design thinking, lean, I didn't stop at that to talk about that, agile, then we can have a great solution. And that's what I want to say, that yes, it might be a buzzword, but this is a very good start point for deeper understanding. And from my side, I would like to say empathy, tolerance, and user or human-centered. These are the most important things. Because we not used to think how people feel if they are a bit different than us, if they are working in a different environment than we do. So, but design thinking, turn your mindset to this way. And this is what I vote for. Design thinking is a mindset. No matter what kind of battles are going in a world, that whether it's good or bad, used or that. And I would like to say it's a mindset of all of us if we learn it. In design, it's a profession. It's a great profession. And then, of course, if we put mindset together with the expert and we process something, I'm not talking now about a product design or industrial design or graphic design, but more if we think about process or service, then that's the ideal word. And I just want to say that if we teach quite a lot, and if we absorb these new methods a lot, including design thinking, the designers won't feel like they are maybe lost in a wood coming to the new institution, to the new company, and all of those trees mean people around. They look at him or her and say, what they are talking about. We never heard about it. Now design is understood in a completely different way, and still I could say, thanks to these design thinking methods. And at the end, I just want to say we all have to learn, and new buzzwords will come. And we just have to know how to deal with them and how to apply them in a correct way. And of course, we have to work together with experts. This is for sure. But at the end, the old quote, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to get far, you go together. That's I wish to all of you to go together, to find your team, to find your experts, to develop new things, and to not to be shy to ask for expertise. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the day, and that's it for me. Thank you.